Okay, so we're looking at the same questions we had before. This time we're going to look at gearing, which also is known as risk. Now, what it looks at is, it looks at the way the business is financed. So there are two main ways a business is financed. So what I'll do is, I'll do the explanation of this and then we'll apply it to this question. So to explain it, let's look at company A as one example, and we'll have a second example of company B. So company A, let's say there's a total of 100,000 euros invested in company A, and company B has the same amount of money. So both companies are worth the same, and that money invested is called capital employed in both cases. Now, let's just say company A got their money from loans and from shares, and company B did something similar. And now let's just say that company A decided that they were going to borrow 20,000 in loans, and the shares, that means, must have been 80,000. Company B did something very different. Company B decided that they're going to borrow lots, so they borrowed 80,000, and they got 20,000 invested by shareholders. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to assume also, for the sake of this, that our loans, we're going to assume that the loans are at 10%. So that's the interest rate we have to pay back on our loans. Okay, so we're going to compare what happens in a boom economy, okay, and in a recession economy. Now, we already looked at and how we're going to measure this boom and recession. That would mean that if times are really good, we're making really good profit. And we already looked at some of the formulas, and we looked at profitability ratio. So we're going to look at return on capital employed as a way of measuring if we're in boom or recession. So return on capital employed, if you're in a boom, we're making loads more profit than you would have made in the bank. So we're going to say, let's say 20% is our boom return on capital employed. Whereas in a recession, return on capital employed, we're really struggling. We're making some profit, but really it's not great. So we're going to say 3%. So it's very low profit. So what that means is, in a boom, when we look at the amount of profit, okay, so we're trying to work out the overall profit for our business. So that means return on capital employed is 20%. Capital employed was 10 grand, so that means our profit, okay, is going to be 20k, 20,000 euro. In a recession, profit is going to be 3,000 euro. Okay, so let's look at our boom situation. So we have to pay 10% of 20,000, or 2,000, okay, of our profit in interest, and that leaves 18,000 of our 20,000. So we have a total of 20,000 here, okay, to pay off, okay. So we in profit, 18,000 is left over for the ordinary shareholders. 2,000 of that goes to pay off our loans. Now let's look at company B. We still have 20,000 to pay off. The loans are still at 10%, so 10% of 80 grand is 8 grand. And that leaves 12 grand left over for the ordinary shareholders. So our question here is, which shareholders would be happier? Now, it looks like company A, the shareholders are really happy because they made 18,000, they have 18,000 of profit. Now, some of this profit may be retained, some may be paid in dividends, but their investment of 80 grand has earned them 18,000 euro. So that looks like they should be happier than this company, okay? The only problem is we need to look at our earnings per share. So this is how much profit has been earned by each share. So we have a total of 18,000 here, okay, profit to be paid out, and we've got 80,000 shares. So you can see already that down here we have 12,000 profit is being shared among 20,000 shares. So you can see already that there's a bit of a difference when I work out the maths on this. That means I own a share here, and I'm going to get 22.5 cents has been earned from my money. Okay, this one here, sorry, that hasn't gone through correctly. Okay, so this one, oh no, I don't want it to have decimal points, it will confuse the issue. Oh no, actually, I'm going to make it general. Okay. So this one, what we said was, empty that. Okay. So here we said there was 12,000 shares paid out among 20,000 shareholders. No, it's not the same thing again. So I'm just going to say 12 out of 20. So turn that into a number. So that means these 20,000 shareholders, or let's say each or one shareholder owns 20,000 shares. Okay, his business from all of his investment. Oh no, it's turning into a number again. So he has made 0.6 or 60 cents. So this person, if you own one of these shares, you invested €1 and you got back, or that €1 has earned you 60 cents. Whereas up here it's earned you 22 cents. So this company that has very few shareholders, when the profit is paid out, this company, the shareholders are an awful lot happier. Let's look at what happens in our recession. So in a recession, we still have to pay out interest on loans. We have no choice in both cases. We have to pay out the interest on loans. So once the profit is 3,000, once it's shared out, 2,000 goes to cover our interest, and the remaining 1,000 goes among all of our shareholders. Well, that's not great. So that means those shareholders are going to have 1,000 divided among 80,000 shares. So that means I'm going to earn 1.25 cents profit from my share. So that's really poor. If I had put my €1 in the bank, I would have probably earned 2 or 3 cents. I would have earned more because interest rates are about 2 or 3%. So that's not great. I'm not happy there. Whereas down here with this company, we only have 3,000 profit available to pay out, but we have to pay €8,000 in interest. So that means this business, just to survive, is going to end up being 5,000 worse off. What does that mean in reality? Well, we're going to have to start selling some of our vehicles, our premises here, maybe our machinery. We're going to sell off some of our assets just to keep ourselves afloat and to be able to pay the interest on our loans. So if we have to sell premises, well then that means that our business isn't going to be able to operate as efficiently. If we have to sell some of our vehicles, we won't be able to sell as many goods or deliver as many goods. So that's a bit of a problem. So this is a high-risk business. Company B, who had most of its money borrowed, they're taking a big risk. If things are good, if we make good profit, they can make an absolute killing. And the shareholders will be very happy because whatever profit there is divided among few people. But if we have a bad year, if our sales aren't as good as expected, or if it turns out our economy goes into recession and we have a problem, well then our business, we're going to start selling stuff off just to keep the business afloat, and we could very quickly go bankrupt. All of that now is called gearing. Now let's look at the answers for this question here. We use a formula called the debt equity ratio. The debt equity compares the debt, the money borrowed, to all the money invested by the ordinary shareholder. So in this case, we've borrowed for the van 9,985, and we got 163,745 invested by the ordinary shareholders. So that is, remember, that's the shares they bought at the beginning plus the amount of profit that they have allowed the business to keep. And we turn that into a ratio. So you can see there's very little loans here compared to the money that was put in by the shareholders. So that means that this business is a low-risk business. So we got an answer here of 0.06 to 1. You should have to 1 here, but obviously I'm having issues putting that into the computer. If it was medium risk, then the answer would be 1 to 1. So that means you'd have about the same amount of loans as money invested shareholders. If you had 2 to 1, that means twice as much loans compared to shareholders. Well, then that's a higher risk. So that would be more of a concern. So this business, where when we think about the risk, where does the risk come from? The risk comes from the repayment of interest on our loans. Just making your repayments. So if you think of yourselves, if you take out a loan to buy a house, it's not the mortgage and the fact that you owe 200,000 or whatever on the house. That's not the thing that becomes a worrying burden. It's the monthly payments of towards that mortgage. That is the problem. If you can't keep up those repayments, no matter how big or how small your mortgage is, if you can't manage those repayments, then you'll very quickly end up in debt and you could quickly go bankrupt if you're a business. That's gearing.